did. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
You're listening to the One Pridecast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the One Pridecast. I'm your host, Tori Petry, joined on the other line by Mike O'Hara. Mike, how's it going this morning?
It's going well. Unusual week we're coming off, and some more unusual stuff coming up. But it's been an unusual 2020. So, what's more unusual than unusual?
Yeah, that pretty much sums up the whole year. Unusual. Definitely the Lions are in an unusual spot right now, going through a mid-season coaching change. They've got 1 month left of the season, 5 games, and over the weekend, they parted ways with head coach Matt Patricia and general manager Bob Quinn. Now Darrell Bevell is the interim head coach. So lots of changes over this Thanksgiving weekend after the Lions lost a tough game to the Houston Texans on Thanksgiving. Mike, why did you feel the Lions needed to make that change?
Because they did. You know, it's pretty simple. When I say unusual, look, I've been through a lot of this stuff covering the Lions over the years, but not everybody is, you know, a head coaching change in mid-season. But we've seen an awful lot of turnover in key positions, and who has experienced more of it than Matthew Stafford? And we can get to that later. And also, I've got a surprise for you, okay? I think you'll like it.
Uh-oh.
Do I have your permission?
You do. Go right ahead, Mike.
You're sure? Okay, well, we'll do it at about the 10 or 12 minute mark, okay? This is known as a tease, the Tori tease. How's that?
Wow.
No,
All right. I'm going to keep my eye on this timer because I am very intrigued by what this surprise is.
By the way, I just thought of something.
You thought?
You wait a minute, and I don't have any coffee either this morning, okay? But no thanks to you. But I just thought of something. I better keep this to myself. No, but you know what, Terry? When I say they had, it's something they had to do. They really did. Now, whether they did it, you know, after the season or whatever, and I'm talking strictly about the head coaching. I'm separating the two, Bob Quinn, the general manager, and the head coach, Matt Patricia. It wasn't working, and I think, you know, I don't know if everybody out there saw it. It's a terrific picture that was taken by a photographer for MLive.com, you know, the website, statewide, that's been in, you know, business under different names for a long time. Really kind of captured the essence of what happened in the Houston Texans Detroit Lions debacle, 41-25 loss, and really maybe the last 2.5 seasons under Matt Patricia as head coach, and certainly this year. But it was, you know, the principal owner, Sheila Ford Hamp, just had her hands over her eyes, you know, kind of leaned forward and up in, you know, where she watches the game in the owner's box. And just, to me, that just said everything, like,
right.
Enough is enough. And, you know, as sports talk radio goes, and I'm not knocking him, it's just the way it is, but all day Friday, well, if she doesn't do it now, what is she waiting for? Saturday? Yeah. Okay. I just had a feeling something was coming. Just the vibe was
yeah.
there. And just seeing that, it wasn't even the look on her face because she had her face covered with her hands, but just, it was a picture that captured the moment, and it captured the year, and kudos to the photographer who took it and MLive that ran it. You know, Mrs. Hamp may not have liked it, but it summed it up, and it really revealed her inner thoughts, I think, in my opinion. And the way the team has played this year, blowing leads, you know, it was typical of that game. Houston went on a 28-3 run after the Lions had taken a 14-13 lead, and it's gone that way from the opening game.
Right.
Mitchell Trubisky, Tori, as you remember, 21 straight 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, and that's a game the Lions had won, a way to launch their season finally with a good win, and couldn't hold the lead against the Saints, against the Packers. Couldn't score against the Carolina Panthers. I mean, come on, what are you talking about? And so, yeah, I think it was the right thing to do. And, you know, Sheila Hamp didn't really come out and say this. She mentioned the fans and all that, but really, to me, this was also a message to the fans, folks. Starting right now, you know, and she said she wants Darrell Bevell and the coach to win. The team, you know, players try to win, play hard and win. But she was talking to the fans, too. Look, I've had enough, and I agree with her.
Yeah, I think that photo was very telling as well. The body language kind of said it all. But, you know, for me, I agree with you, Mike, about the fans. Ownership came out last year and said, hey, we want this team to contend in 2020. And it was clear that they were not contending. And she could have waited till the end of the season, but I think doing it when she did it showed, hey, I'm serious about what we said last year. I'm serious that this team needs to contend, and they're not contending right now. So I'm making this move because I want to show that, as the new principal owner of this team, that I want to contend.
Yeah, absolutely. I was they did that sort of in segments last year. I think it was in December, it might have been November, but I was in there with Mrs. Ford, Rod Wood, the president, and Sheila Hamp. And she was really one of the more prominent voices there out of the three, including my own. But
If Mike O'Hara is in a room, his voice is always a prominent one.
I get a couple one-liners in no matter where I am, just to loosen the joint
This
up.
is true. This is accurate.
But one of the things what they said was play meaningful games in December and be in contention. And I asked her, is this a package deal? I just asked the question, I should say. Just threw it out for whoever wanted to answer. Is this a package deal, Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia? Bob Quinn, of course, being the general manager. And she said, no, they'll be evaluated separately. Well, she came to the same conclusion on both of them. And if I was a little bit surprised that Quinn was let go. I'm not shocked or anything like that, and not just because nothing shocks me. I just thought he might have gotten another chance because I think his biggest mistake was not in firing Jim Caldwell, but who he replaced him with. And all due respect, Matt Patricia was one of the hot young or youngish coordinators out there looking for a head. Was going to be elevated to a head coaching job. The pedigree with the New England Patriots. But it just didn't work. And, maybe Bob Quinn could have changed things if he would have fired Patricia after 2 seasons and, going 6-10 one year and 3-12-1 another. Certainly it doesn't make a case for keeping your job. And then it was more of the same this year. I mean, the record's a little bit better, but the product isn't better.
Right.
And this reminded me of 2 things, just going back in history. When Darrell Rogers was the head coach here from 1985 through approximately the middle of 1988, Kurt Sylvester worked for the Detroit Free Press for a long time, and I staked out Mr. Ford after a meeting with Darrell Rogers, and we asked him, and he said, "We're boring and we're losing." That's what I told him. And I thought, Kurt, I think we're going to be writing a story here in a couple of days, and sure enough, we were. And then what Mrs. Ford, Martha Firestone Ford, did midway through the 2015 season. They made the playoffs at 11-5 the year before, and they started out 1-7 and got just absolutely trucked. I don't know if you were with the website in 2015 or not.
I was, yep.
Okay, well, you remember the London game. What a debacle.
Uh-huh.
To get embarrassed like that on national TV. And Mrs. Ford fired Tom Lawand, the president, Martin Mayhew, the general manager. They'd already sacked the offensive coordinator, and a couple of other assistant coaches were let go. And Mrs. Ford stood up at the podium and a 90-second speech, or whatever you want to call it, said, "I expect this team to compete and contend the rest of this season. I'm not giving up on it." And they almost made the playoffs. They really did. They came back 6-2. So, I think Sheila Hamp followed her mother's style more than she did her father. She wasn't going to be patient and just hope things would turn around on themselves. 6 months into being the principal owner, she acted strongly, decisively, and she said, "I meant what I said about competing." She said, "I meant what I said. I kept my word," and I salute her for that.
Yeah. So where does this leave the Lions now? I mean, they've got 5 games left in the season.
Yeah.
Like you said, Sheila Ford Hamp said she still wanted them to compete, but obviously you make this move because you're having a season that isn't going well. So their season hasn't exactly gone well up to this point, but she wants them to compete the rest of the way. So where does this leave them?
Well, it leads them really. Darrell Bevell's been promoted from offensive coordinator to interim head coach. Apparently, he's been given some, I wouldn't say hope, but I wouldn't say assurance, but somewhere between hope and assurance that he is a candidate for the job. I don't know how strong a candidate he is. If he goes 5-0, does he get the job? I don't know. Does he goes 0-5? Does he get? Obviously not. But a lot of eyes will be on him to see what he does and what he does that's different. Now, I don't think it's a betrayal of his previous boss, Matt Patricia, that he changed some things in practice on his first practice with the team, because you have to do that. You just can't send a team out and read the same old script of the last however long 25 weeks of practices and games. You've got to change things, give the players some indication I mean, not just indication, but just show the players things are going to be different. We're not just going to do exactly what we did before. And so he changed up the practice yesterday, like Taylor Decker, the really good offensive lineman, offensive left tackle for the Detroit Lions, talked to the media yesterday and said things were different. A little more energy. There was a freshness, a refreshness there. Talked about winning these next 5 games and maybe making the playoffs. You never heard Matt Patricia say anything beyond on Wednesday. Wednesday was the most important day of the year. Thursday, that became the most important. Week 1 was the most important week, then week 2 did. I think sometimes you have to look ahead. I think it sort of gives the players, kind of gives them some relief from, look, it's a long trudge in pro football to get through 16 weeks of practices and games. And I think you got to give them something to look forward to. I never completely agreed with that, one at a time that Matt Patricia did. I mean, you have to do it, but you have to me, add something to it. And Darrell Bevell did that yesterday in his first full meeting with the team. He says, look, we have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, is it a great chance? No, but if somehow they win 5 in a row, they're probably in. So tell them that. The players aren't stupid. They can count to 5. It's not that hard. And I think it energized the team a little bit. Now we'll see what happens in Chicago on Sunday. But for now, I think it was a good start, and that's all we can look at right now is for now.
Yeah. Well, you have to be happy for a guy like Darrell Bevell. Obviously, I know he doesn't mean anything ill on the people that he's replacing. Nobody wants to take over in those circumstances. He spoke highly of his former bosses and thanked them for the opportunity that they gave him. But I mean, Darrell Bevell's getting a lifetime opportunity here. Obviously, these guys go into coaching because they want to do it at the highest level, and he's getting a chance to do that now. And you could tell how amped he was in that press conference that we had with him on Monday. I mean, he was jacked up, and he said as much. You have to be happy for him.
Absolutely. That's exactly what he said, too, is I'm jacked up. And I don't blame him. And look, the idea of this is not at the expense of Matt Patricia. He didn't fire Matt Patricia. He didn't sabotage him. There weren't any, sources close to Darrell Bevell unhappy with the way things going. None of that. No, he was loyal. And look, everybody's working in place of somebody else. Somebody else wanted his job as offensive coordinator. Somebody else now wants his job as head coach. I mean, let's stick it down to, let's just trickle all the way down. Tori, there's somebody out there who wants your job. There's somebody out there who wants my job.
Right.
It's the way it is. It's life. Okay, deal with it. You know what? Work hard and keep your job.
Yeah. Well,
and produce.
Absolutely. And it definitely puts the Lions in an interesting spot because I'm very interested to see how Darrell Bevell changes this team or even this offense as they hit the field on Sunday because, we don't really know who was calling all of the shots. Like the head coach usually has considerable influence over what the game plan is, sometimes even over calling the offensive plays. Typically the coaches will say, well, every call goes through me anyways, even if it's made by the offensive or defensive coordinator. So I'm interested to see if this offense looks any different under Darrell Bevell since he has kind of creative control over it now.
Let me I'm glad you brought that up. And I was just doing some notes to myself yesterday and just for no reason other than just to look at some trends and all that. And in the last 6 games the Detroit Lions have played, let me count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have run the ball on the first play of the game every single time. In the last 2 games, hold on, there's more. In the last 2 games, they ran Adrian Peterson on first and second down both games for wonderful gains of -1, no gain, 4 yards, 3 yards. The next game, or the game 3 there, they ran DeAndre Swift on the first 3 offensive plays. Go back another game, Adrian Peterson on the first play of the game, -1. Adrian Peterson on the first 2 plays of the game for 7 yards and -1. And then Adrian Peterson again. So that's 6 straight games. Come on. Think other teams are stupid? They're not seeing what's going on?
So
I just threw my notebook across the room. I mean, come on.
You better go get it. Yeah, I mean,
I'll be right back.
Obviously, what you're saying here, Mike, is that the Lions have been running the ball a lot on first down and unsuccessfully.
It's predictable. Don't get me going, okay? Let's change the subject. I'm not invested in the team's wins and losses, but just watching it, it just doesn't. To me, it didn't make any sense because it's not working. So we'll see what comes with Darrell Bevell calling the plays and see if he kind of unloosens the strings here.
Right. Well, what's interesting to me is how well this offense did last year. And I thought that they were very creative last year when Matthew Stafford was in there. And even after Matthew Stafford went down, I felt like Darrell Bevell came up with some really good game plans to help David Blau, to help Jeff Driscoll have their best shot at winning. Now, obviously, the Lions weren't able to win those games, but that came down to more than just the quarterback play. I thought that, he did a pretty good job considering what he was working with. And we all know Matthew Stafford was playing at an all-pro level last year. So I feel like we know that Darrell Bevell can come up with, a good offense.
Yeah, and the first 8 games that Stafford played in, he passed for 2,499 yards, 19 touchdowns. And I think it was 4 interceptions, might have been 5, and he was just getting going too. I mean, to me, there was another maybe 2,800 yards in that arm the last 8 games, and maybe 20, 21, 22 touchdown passes. He was rolling. I mean, absolutely rolling. And so, like I said, we'll see what happens. I don't think he's going to just all of a sudden put him in the shotgun and throw 50 times a game, but certainly they have to do something different than what they've been doing, and I look forward to seeing what, if anything, that is on Sunday in Chicago.
This season, there are even more ways to get into the game thanks to Lions Bingo presented by BetMGM. Lion fans can play along for free all season long for the chance to win great prizes, including the grand prize each week of a weekend stay at an MGM Resorts location. Just download the Lions mobile app and register to play Lions Bingo each and every week. Play along during the game, and once you hit bingo, you score. Courtesy of our friends at BetMGM. Learn more and lock in your Lions Bingo board before kickoff by visiting the official Lions mobile app now.
All right, Mike, we're past the 10-12 minute mark. I want to know what you got for me.
I've got an idea, Tori.
Okay.
You see, we've been to the combine multiple times. I know I saw you get time in the 40-yard dash one year. Wasn't that you?
Yeah.
Have you seen Rich Eisen do it? Haven't you?
I have. Yep.
On NFL Network, and now you may have noticed that Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs has thrown down the gauntlet with Adam Schefter of ESPN. He's going to spot him 40 to 50 yards in a 100-yard race. Tori Petry, step up to the line. Who can we match you against on the Detroit Lions sometime in the offseason? 100 yards.
I like this.
And what sort of head start do you need?
Okay.
Now, look, we have your choice here between a 300-pound offensive lineman and then maybe the fastest guy on the team, maybe somebody like, take your pick. But I think we have to set this up and run it for Cherry. Okay?
I like it. I like this idea. I mean, I feel like Jamal Agnew would probably claim
That's who I was thinking.
fastest because he would always claim it when Darius Slay was here, but Darius would debate that. So since Darius isn't here anymore, I'm thinking maybe Jamal Agnew is the fastest. But I don't know. Should I go at the highest level, or should I get someone maybe middle of the pack? I feel like I could beat an offensive lineman if I had a little bit of a head start.
What's a little bit of a head start? Besides 145 pounds.
To be
fair. No, probably more than that. More like about 170 pounds, 180 pounds, yeah.
To be fair, though, I've had 2 foot surgeries this year, so I'm still rehabbing a little bit. I got my first PT appointment today, so, I'm going to get back to 100%, and then we'll do it next off season.
Well, let's talk to your podcast listeners out there. Maybe they've got an idea, too. And you know what? I have a feeling that this is going to be edited out, so I'm done talking, okay?
Oh, absolutely not. I like it. I like the idea. I'm down. I'm always down to do something ridiculous, and so, let's do it.
That's why you're talking to me, something ridiculous.
You are exactly right. Exactly right. With that, let's talk about the Chicago Bears, Mike. Obviously, there's been so much to talk about around just the Lions this week that it's kind of hard to even remember, hey, they play the Chicago Bears on Sunday. This is a rematch for them. They lost that first game of the season. Obviously, we all know how that one went. But the Bears look like a very different team now than they did at the beginning of the season. They were 5-1 to start the season, and then they haven't won a game since week 6. What do the Lions need to do to beat the Bears on Sunday?
Well, play like they did for 3 quarters, play offense like they did for 3 quarters against the Bears, and then the last possession of the game. It resulted in a drop pass in the end zone. What would have been the game-winning score? Drop pass in his first game as a rookie, by the way, DeAndre Swift. Play like that on offense, and play like on defense the way you did for the first, I'd say, 44 minutes or so, till the Bears got the ball for the last possession of the third quarter, and then just trucked them. I mean, just 3 straight long drives. Mitchell Trubisky, 3 touchdown passes. I don't think he's got 3 complete passes since then. And here they are. He was playing really so poorly in the eyes of the coaching staff and management that after they were 3-0, they benched him in favor of Nick Foles. I never understood that. Come on, you're counting on hope here. So we'll see who starts at quarterback on Sunday. It's probably up in the air. Then you saw what the head coach said after last week's loss. He called out everybody, every player, every coach, every this. How about everybody? Well, that includes yourself, coach. You made the big bold move to change quarterbacks on a team that was 3-0, and I just thought that that was preordained, predetermined in his mind, and it didn't work. It backfired. It blew up because Nick Foles is just not physically, he's got some issues, just not physically able to hold up over a season. That's been proven in this losing streak. But Mitchell Trubisky hasn't played any better either. I just think he's your best hope.
Well, the Lions have had a hard time beating Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, yeah, was he 4-0 against him with 12 touchdown passes?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Mitchell Trubisky and I'm a free agent after this year, that's my highlight reel. I take these 4 games against the Lions and say, look, this is what I did to probably the second best team in the NFC North. Not that it really is, but it's not let facts get in the way of a good selling job. But and honestly, I think I said this on opening day, Tori. I'm probably a bigger fan of Mitchell Trubisky than most people. I really do. I just think if you let him play, he'll do some things for you athletically. He's not going to be, Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be a lot of guys, but he was drafted second overall for a reason. A big mistake, but he still was first round. He warranted being a first round pick. I just think he has some things going for you. His second year there, he leads the team to what was it, like an 11-4 record. They missed one game because of an injury, and won the NFC North that year. Last year he was 8-8, and this year he was 3-0 when he got benched. So at least he was able to win games, and that's more than anybody else has been able to do in that job for them.
Well, we'll see if the Lions can have a better game against Mitchell Trubisky this weekend. And one thing we haven't touched on, Mike, and that I feel like not a lot of people have during this time, is that, Cory Undlin is going to have control over the defense now. And he has not had that responsibility fully here. Obviously, this was Matt Patricia's defense that he was running, and they were kind of on the same page. So that will be another interesting thing to watch this week.
No, I agree with that. And that's one of the things I wondered about. He was on the, as maybe the fans out there know that we've said this before, but the coordinators, offense, defense, and special teams are available to the media on Zoom every Tuesday. And you get about 15 minutes with each one of them. And I thought Cory Undlin kind of sounded like he wanted to do the same stuff, just do it better. It was a little, maybe not quite that way, but I didn't get the feeling that he said, what people ask him, what are we going to see that's different? And he'll say, well, I'll tell you on Sunday, but I just didn't get the feeling that he was, that he was really willing to just really, let it rip. And he might as well, really. I mean, his future here in Detroit is online. Things have to get better. And I wouldn't be surprised if they blitz more, played, less man and more zone. Although I'm never quite sure what percentages of either one they play. It changes, from down to down, series to series, week to week. But we'll see what's different. But it certainly, I think, would do well for everybody to take heed of what Darrell Bevell said about play with like your hair's on fire.
I did like that quote.
I liked it. Play like your hair's on fire. Go out there and have some fun. And it's like Taylor Decker said, winning is fun. It's fun when you're winning. So go out there and you really, as an assistant coach, as a coordinator, Cory Undlin has nothing to lose. So let it rip, man.
Well, like Cory said, we will find out on Sunday. So, Mike, I want to hear from you for Mike's Pick of the Week, presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. You have a chance to pick a winner for the first time under interim head coach Darrell Bevell. So who's it going to be?
It might be for the first time this year that I pick a winner, too, because, You know what? Let's go through the list here. There are gold chips, which are 1,000 at MGM Grand. There are purple chips, which are 500. Black is 100. And we'll get down to that other stuff I'm way above all that.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the black chips on the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be pretty conservative here. I'm gonna say 17-13. Not a blowout,
Okay.
not by any means, but just a little better defense. And they just win. They find a way to win. 17-13, all black chips. Not going to tell you how many, but I don't want any people to know how much money I have, but all black. I'm in all black.
All right, good stuff, Mike. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday as we cover this game. Definitely the start of a new era. We'll see what ends up happening after this season, but definitely some changes afoot, and I'm excited to cover this game and talk about how it goes next week. Mike, thanks so much for hanging out with me on the podcast.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me.
And for your awesome charity idea. I do love that.
I can't wait to watch.
As long as you're cheering for me and not for me to get beat.
Well, I'm for sale and things like that.
Okay. We'll see what Mike's pick of the week is once that comes around. Mike, thanks. We appreciate you guys for listening as well, and we will talk with you next week.
This season, there are even more ways to get into the game thanks to Lions Bingo presented by BetMGM. Lion fans can play along for free all season long for the chance to win great prizes, including the grand prize each week of a weekend stay at an MGM Resorts location. Just download the Lions mobile app and register to play Lions Bingo each and every week. Play along during the game, and once you hit bingo, you score. Courtesy of our friends at BetMGM. Learn more and lock in your Lions Bingo board before kickoff by visiting the official Lions mobile app now.